Your own assessment of the election.
So one, let me congratulate His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for a really great victory. I think the people of Ghana have spoken in terms of the gap. I must say I'm not surprised. In fact, I've had the opportunity to speak to Honorable Sorogo and I told him that, listen, in spite of the words of the Vice President that he had won the election and that what he was expecting was the gap. Have you seen that video? When the Vice President said that he had won the election and right now his concern was the gap. You saw the way he did his hand.
He said that on a campaign trail.
The gap, yeah. Well, for some of us, we knew that the gap would be against him, and so I'm not really, I'm not surprised at the gap. My only surprise was with the votes we had. But having said that, we called for change. We may not have gotten the kind of change we wanted, but a change that kicks out the New Patriotic Party, a change that tells politicians that there's consequence for bad leadership. You understand? It's a change that must be welcome. And for me, my focus as a Ghanaian is that we all throw our weight, our support, our goodwill behind the leadership of His Excellency John Mahama, because Ghana needs to be resetted. To be reset, we will need to restore political credibility. We need to restore economic credibility, and I believe that with his leadership and with all of our support, we can achieve that. So I think that's what I have to say, except to say that we shouldn't forget the gap. Understand? Whatever you do, don't forget the gap. All politicians should not forget the gap. That if you come and you deliver Koshoko leadership, you will be given a gap, a very big gap.
What were you? I saw you fighting for seats. You turned the collation center at Tesano, and I think we'll discuss that as well. I don't know why now we're doing collation center in police stations and all that. The next time we'll be in Bemakam.
I think it is only fair that I do a short one. First of all, I want to thank the Almighty God for this victory. We had our expectations that we were going to win, but the final outcome clearly shows that, no, God is involved in this victory. I want to thank you, Roland, for hosting this show with all the professionalism required. I recall vividly how there are instances where we come here. There had been instances where your producers came under all kinds of attack. I strongly believe that you take it as occupational hazard. Globally, journalists always have a say in what electoral matters ought to be. In fact, in some jurisdictions, the various media outlets usually will call the election. The economists will say, look, we are for Kamala Harris. The New York Times will say, I am for this. So it's never been a problem if that conversation, we have it. I also want to thank the rank and file of our party. Look, I don't know what this outcome would have been today if our people were not vigilant. The vigilance demonstrated in this election, our polling agents, I salute you. All the security agencies and the role you played in this election. My own party, the national leadership, regional executives, constituency executives, ward executives, branch executives. I mean, if you begin to appreciate the numbers, that is where you notice the enormity of work done by all of us. I mean, you have a situation where today, by way of presidential election numbers, officially declared by the Electoral Commission, we are looking about 1.6 million 72,000 votes difference. obviously unprecedented. I think the only president that comes close may be Jerry Rawlings in 1992 or possibly 96. Roland, if you look at the situation where today, as we speak, 8 regions of this country gave MPP only 11 seats. There are 4 regions of this country that the MPP does not have any parliamentary representative. Ghana is green. And we want to thank the good people of this country for accepting the message. We come, sit here, talk. We didn't know that quietly Ghanaians were buying into our message. Under the leadership of my learned friend Sami Jemfi, National Communication Officer, his 2 able deputies, Malik Basintale and Akugan, we ran the Communication Bureau. For the first time, we deploy a cocktail of, male, female communicators across the length and breadth of this country. Our regional communication, constituency communication officers, branch executives who were in the communication department, because I associate with the communication department. And that is why I'm making this point. I also want to use this platform, Roland, to thank all the lawyers that were deployed to the various constituency coalition centers, to the various regional coalition centers. In fact, 3 of the lawyers that were deployed got attacked in Insuta, Kwamambe Poso. And as for the Alhaji who led the attack, your time is coming at the right time. And you'll be used as deterrent, never to attack anybody in an election-related matter. So, to the lawyers, I salute you. At least, as your director legal, we tried as much as possible to offer the needed protection, logistics, and everything to make your work well. And it has been a success. The chairperson of our legal committee, Madam Betty Modedreso, thank you for the leadership. We appreciate you all.
Now that this election is over, we need to pick up the pieces in where we left off in Parliament. The Speaker is now reconvening today, of course, the Accra International Conference Center. But ideally, what should Parliament look like? We haven't had the budgets that should ideally be read, and when it comes to the appropriation and the subsequent act also subsequently approved. That's a step back in the first instance.
Yeah, so the mandate we give the parliamentarians to end January 6th, 11:59 p.m. January 6th. So they are supposed to work. We still have a government to, as in we still need to govern. The mandate we gave Nanado and his vice, as in, will end on January 6th, 11:59 p.m. And so I expect them to work. I expect them to knock it down, in spite of the gap, in spite of the defeat. They need to find a way of putting the interests of the country first. They need to go to parliament. They need to work. And so, Roland, for me, nothing should change. Nothing should change. We don't have a budget as we speak. There are a number of things that needs to be done. And so, for me, I think they need to be professional. They need to go back and work and ensure that the mandate we give them is used to the interest of this country, in spite of the massive defeat that has been granted them. Yeah, so Roland, I think they need to, so they have to work. It's not like their mandate; they still have the mandate of the people to act as MP. So yeah.
The critical subject about the frosty relationship between the Speaker and then the MPP side of the House before the main election. What do you think that sort of precedent seems to have set or has or sets for our democracy, especially in Parliament?
You see, I think over the past 4 years, if there's one thing that has been clear, and I think that's what has led to the unprecedented defeat that the NPP has been granted, is their inability to put the interest of the country first. You understand? I think I've said it so many times. I'm tired talking about this. But if there's something that was clear, was the fact that this MPP, because it has not always been that way, seemed to be, as in the energy that fueled them, was one that was really parochial in nature, and they always put the interest of their party, their personal interest ahead of the interest of the country, and that's why that's why we said that we needed what's called to restore the loss of political credibility. I hope when Mama said that he needs a reset, that's what he means, because of the way the MPP handled the power we give them, both the executive and in parliament. They have, as a massive dent has been done to the values and principles that ought to govern this constitutional democracy that we have. Because if you have the interest of the country at heart, then you would understand that it's in your interest to ensure that you do not fuel any toxic spirit within the house that's meant to be where we are all represented. You understand? And it is pretty unfortunate. But like I said, Ghanaians have voted. That for me is a clear signal that we need to restore political credibility. And that restoration of political credibility means that, yes, you may disagree, and that's what democracy really is. You understand? Because I've been talking about political culture. That culture essentially is that we need to tolerate open disagreement. We need to hold people accountable. And so it shouldn't be a problem if let's say the majority leader disagrees with the speaker. But in how you disagree, you see, in how you disagree, you must show respect and you must show integrity in how you disagree. Because and I'll say again, I think my position on everything that happened in Parliament is pretty clear, because I think I spoke forcefully on this issue. But there's on lack of integrity.
A lack of integrity.
A fundamental lack of integrity. But there again,
you mean on both sides, in terms of the speaker on one hand?
No.
And then also
the speaker, I said here, and I think the speaker did very well. I actually commended the speaker here. You understand? I think the side of the majority showed a fundamental lack of integrity. You understand? And having shown a fundamental lack of integrity in their position, because you see, when something is A, let's say in 2020, that A can become B in 2024. You understand? Because in 2020, on the issue of what's the consequence of a member of parliament, or a member that the MPP has sponsored, contesting against a candidate the MPP sponsors, the MPP had a certain position.
Yes.
You understand? And it is a fundamental lack of integrity if that position, under the same circumstance, the same facts, is altered in 2024. You understand? And I've said that this MPP is a threat to the rule of law. I said it here. My position hasn't changed. You understand? And they being a threat to the rule, because I think we all listen to their arguments on their position. Because for you to say that in spite of the clear terms of your constitution, a constitution that says that, listen, if anybody, a member of the MPP, contests against a candidate the MPP is sponsoring, then automatically you lose your membership.
That's right.
Outright. In spite of that, for them to make an argument that in spite of that provision, in spite of how we have handled that clause, you understand, where their National Council reserves the right to determine what happens to your membership, that is arbitrariness. You understand? And that's what I mean by is a threat to the rule of law. Fortunately, the people of Ghana have spoken. The people of Ghana have spoken loud and clear and give a loud signal that, listen, we will not support a politics or a political culture that is parochial in nature. You understand? They have 3 weeks. After 7th January, things will change. I'm very hopeful that with this new leadership and with the massive goodwill that they hold, that's why I'm calling all Ghanaians to support His Excellency John Mahama, that there'll be a restoration of that lost political credibility and that a new culture, a new political culture will be forged. That should be one of the fundamental tasks of the president. A political culture that is participatory in nature, a political culture that does not have an issue with open disagreement. I hope my brother here won't have, and I'm very confident he won't have any qualms. If there's a 3 months down the line, we come here and we disagree on an issue. We can disagree and not show each other disrespect. And that will forge a political culture that will hold political leadership accountable, because we are building a nation. We are building a nation. And so for me, I think my position is clear. They have 3 weeks. I hope within that 3 weeks, Afenyomarkin and his people will show that the signal that we give them, you understand, apeke. And they said, it's apeke.
Huh?
On 7th December, didn't you hear apeke? You didn't hear that.
I get you.
Signal
apeke. That the signal that the people of Ghana have given them. Apeke. Oh yeah, I hope say apeke. I can see my brother come in. You understand?
Yeah.
That apeke, and that within 3 weeks they will take steps that will show that indeed they've learnt a lesson, and that the signal that we've given them, apeke.
Okay, Edudzi, how do you think, from the way Lawyer Appiah Danquah is talking, that perhaps maybe the outcome of the election seemed to have now created a certain scenario or another atmosphere or a bearing on what was pre-election atmosphere in Parliament, and it looks like it seems different? I'm asking this because if you listen to Lawyer Appiah Danquah, he seems to be saying that the election seemed to have given a certain direction about the mood of the country, but really the NDC-led government will only be in office 7th of January. So shouldn't we maintain the status quo?
You recall that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia used to mock the NDC that we only had a 24-hour majority in Parliament, and that with the assistance of the Supreme Court of Ghana, the Afenyomarkin was able to obtain a stay of execution against Parliament and the Speaker of Parliament. And ultimately, we find ourselves in a situation where I recall vividly H.E. John Dramani Mahama making the point that our members of Parliament should abstain and focus on the election in their respective constituencies. With the support of the Almighty God, today we have what you call a comfortable majority in Parliament. At my last count, we are doing about 187 MPs, more than enough to effect the reset agenda, the change agenda, and also to ensure that we ultimately put Ghana first. I've always maintained that the events that happened in Parliament in the last few days, completely uncalled for, and that if we had approached the whole matter with a bit of common sense and tactics, we would not have degenerated to where we ended. Why do I say common sense? Look, it only takes an unprincipled person, respectfully, to change his mouth within 4 years. When Andrew Esiama's issue came up, some of us felt that Speaker Okwe did not offer the necessary leadership that was required. And I've always maintained that arguably he's the worst speaker that we've had. He never called Akufo-Addo to order. Look, in the superior wisdom of the framers of the 1992 Constitution, they wanted a speaker that provides that, that makes Parliament a countervailing force in the overall scheme of affairs. But regrettably, Professor Michael Okwe became a poodle for Mr. Akufo-Addo.
How do you mean?
And effectively ended up destroying Parliament. For the first time, hold on.
He only undertook his work as a speaker.
No.
And he had the right as enshrined in the Constitution and the standing orders.
For the first time, I saw Speaker Okwe a few weeks ago or months ago now basically say that the decision that he took in 2020 was wrong. I have heard leading members of the NPP say Article 9 of their constitution is unconstitutional simply because of convenience. What kind of people are these? And maybe it's also a lesson to all of us as politicians. Always remember that the decisions you are taking today will leave a precedent ahead of you. I'll dovetail this conversation, as you're aware, with because of his parliament and others. I watched a video of Nana Yaa Osafo-Maafo in 2017, basically saying that persons that have been recruited in the tail end of John Mohammed's administration in 2016.
Post-December 7.
Yes. They should quietly exit their office. Today, I've read a piece from the MPP side of the transition team saying that governance ends only on the 6th of January next year.
That is true.
No, so what happened in 2016? What precedent? What precedent? Look, may he so rest in peace, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Arguably, when he said, look, I was going to do a father for all, a lot of people never understood the noble intention behind that. The politics of acrimony, retribution, he wanted to bring an end to it. I was thinking that with Akufo-Addo becoming president past 70 years, he was going to demonstrate a certain leadership focus on national unity, national cohesion. What did he do? He basically destroyed this country. Today, I sit here, I cannot even tell my party members that, we'll allow maybe the status quo. I can't do that because they may not even allow me to leave this studio.
How do you mean? You're a leader of the party. You can't...
no, it's because when you have persons like Nana Yaa Osafo-Maafo and co. in 2017, at a very advanced age, glorify blatant illegalities, what would be my moral justification whatsoever to now preach same to my party members? Look at how, with the greatest respect, my own learned senior Afenyo Makin openly disrespected Speaker of Parliament, Speaker Bagbe. Why? We can disagree, sometimes violently. But beyond that, we should remember where we are coming from. Yeah. I heard, Bagbe should not think that Parliament is his family business or family property repeatedly. And I was asking, are there no elders in the NPP to say, hey, Afenyo, relax. When Afenyo ran to the Supreme Court, and from the day the Supreme Court gave him the stay, a stay that was filed 12 noon, by 2 p.m., and get something, the Supreme Court doesn't sit on Friday. At least I've practiced for the past 11 years. You're an
officer of the court. Are you saying that's your experience?
No, for the norm. For the past 11 years, our Supreme Court doesn't sit on Friday. Afenyo Makin filed a process 12 noon. By 2 p.m., we got a panel of 5 and decided that same day. Please, you see, these things that have happened in the past 8 years, it has taken Ghana back many, many years. I feel so much pain when I talk about this. Look, I filed a process to stop the Electoral Commission September 2023. Do you know the date that I was given? October 17th, after the Electoral Commission had finished its work. You can't tell me these things are normal. You can't tell me that these things, if you treat Ghanaians as though they are first class and second class Ghanaians, it will come back to you.
In what category are you saying this? Because...
No, because you see, if Afenyo can file a process at 12 noon and get not a single judge, 5 Supreme Court judges to sit and decide the matter, I mean, definitely Ghana requires a reset. And this reset should be all facets of our life. We should not, as a people, degenerate to the point Akufo-Addo took this country. It has been a terrible 8 years. We should be, look, there should be a conscious effort on the part of all of us. And I strongly believe, H.E. John Dramani Mahama, that the person that I know will not allow power to destroy the democratic values that he cherishes so much. And that obviously demonstrates the confidence Ghanaians had in him with, and let me remind my friend, the gap is 1.672 thousand. Let me remind him that Bawumia, if we add the remaining 9, may be doing 39%. I want to see the total vote count, putting him at 39%. That is where he belongs. The disrespect that he showed Ghanaians, even on the campaign, will forever be a reminder that you cannot take the good people of this country for granted and expect them. And I've heard maybe later that MPP members didn't come out to vote. This is your actual vote. We are going to audit the voters register. And you will see your smoothness. Yes.
Again,
yes.
I thought we didn't.
No. The actual vote MPP got in Ashanti is the actual vote they ought to get. That 1.7 million they used to get, after the audit, it will be clear to everybody that the ghost names will not forever remain on that register.